The key to facing an ancient void dragon is information. A void dragon should be preceded by legends and rumors. Adventurers should seek out great amounts of lore and research so as to understand the vast risk to their lives that encountering one presents. Planning to kill a void dragon takes immense preparation and foreknowledge, else the entire party is doomed to a tragic end. Covered in ebony black scales, taking on the appearance of a moonless night sky, spotted with tiny bioluminescent flecks which mimic the twinkle of tiny distant stars. Their eyes emit bright white light like burning magnesium. Its wings, when extended, look like a mural of the vast expanse of wild space, and presents onlookers with a sense of sheer insignificance. Their horns and claws emit a dark green glow and lend to its otherworldly aura. When in an atmosphere, frost and ice cling to its sub-zero body, constantly crackling with each of the void dragon's motions as the ice breaks and reforms. Void dragons are the eldritch horrors of dragonkind. They are categorized as outer dragons, true dragon outsiders from beyond the mortal realms. They are to dragons as a devil or demon is to a human. They have keen, intensely bright eyes that offer them dark vision out to 120 feet and a passive perception of 26. However, they have blind sight out to 60 feet and thus are capable of seeing even with their eyes closed or removed. Void dragons are almost universally driven mad by the things they've seen. Having flown to the edge of wild space and gazed into the void between and beyond the stars, the otherwise infinite emptiness inhabited by only occasional mad demons and insane horrors. The resulting feeling of insignificance is irresolvable with the ego of a dragon, and thus leads to near total madness. They don't have a need to eat, drink, sleep, or even breathe, but being perfectly adapted to survive in the void leaves them bored, unoccupied, and deprived of senses and sensations in the inky blackness of space. When enraged, their sickening madness pours out as an aura out to 120 feet in all directions, incurring supernatural fear and warping the minds of vulnerable victims. Their vast sail-like wings allow them to glide across the same flows of magic, phlogiston, and other solar winds that spelljammers do. Their capacity for flight between the stars is exceptional, and they seemingly travel faster than light. A typical void dragon, due to the corruption of the void and their insanity, live only to satiate their insane desires and destroy all else. While some fight back, seeking ancient lore that might save their minds and souls, their decline is inevitable and will eventually break their will sooner or later. The void from which they come is so profoundly cold that the attacks of a void dragon approach absolute zero, so cold that it bypasses all cold resistances. These attacks are, however, still subject to cold immunity. Void dragons are by nature of their insanity truly chaotic, or chaotic neutral in alignment terms. They typically speak celestial, common, draconic, infernal, primordial, and the unusual void speech. Due to their isolated habitat among the void, they rarely speak with mortal beings, usually preferring the company of stars and the strange entities that live among them. As a result, they lack the social grace that many other dragons possess. They are, however, very well-read individuals, craving knowledge beyond their means, and while they love gems and riches as much as the next dragon, they'll trade it all for some shreds of forbidden lore. A void dragon's hoard will consist of vast stolen libraries, mountains of magical scripts, and littered with means to obtaining more. All this is often kept safe within an asteroid or floating ruins of a great ancient people, and will often be hidden in a far corner of the void, somewhere where few creatures would dare to go and fewer still could reach. Their greatest hate is an invasion of their lairs. Any other homes a void dragon keeps are more akin to a forward base. In 5e, void dragons also have lair actions that allow them to perform assorted tricks. They can negate the natural gravity in their lairs, causing adventurers to float awkwardly in space. They can envelop their lair in darkness, vacuum, and cold energies, causing relevant damages to those within. They can create a wormhole between 2 points in space, and they can create concussive explosions of force energy. As a result, it's much more difficult to battle a void dragon when they're inside their lairs, and this should be considered when balancing the encounters for your players. Any other homes a Void Dragon keeps are more akin to a forward base, where they build a link back to their horde so that they might teleport or reach into their horde when needed. However, the rift causes the land around the forward base to warp and wither as a result of the ebbing and flowing energies from the void. And what's more, it's quite common for the aforementioned mad horrors from the void to pass through into the prime material realm using the rift as a gateway. The dragon most prefers its forward bases to be isolated and at high elevation. For example, floating towers or cities that may have been ruined or abandoned, high mountain ridges, satellites such as moons or small orbiting asteroids, and places of educational importance such as an observatory or library. They like to have a view of the night sky, so they'll either select a place for a skylight or make the relevant adjustments upon settling in. Nearby to a Void Dragon's base, cults are likely to arise, seeking knowledge and forbidden power. The prices of books, tomes, scripts, and artifacts will likely skyrocket, and the general desire for learning will be present among the mortal people. Noted in the regional effects for the ancient Void Dragon, I quote, "The region containing legendary Void Dragon's lair is warped by the dragon's magic, which creates one or more of the following effects. Within 6 miles of the lair, secrets have a way of coming to light. Clues are inadvertently discovered, slips of the tongue, hint of a hidden truth, and creatures become morbidly curious for forbidden knowledge. Light is muted within the 6-mile radius. Non-magical illumination, including sunlight, can't brighten the light in this area. Visitations from otherworldly beings occur, and disembodied voices whisper in the night. Celestials, fae, and fiends of CR2 or lower can slip into the world in this area. If the dragon dies, these effects fade over the course of up to 10 days, although I reckon that there should be some lasting effects." Being the first draconic children of the world serpent, Jormungandr from Norse mythology, void dragons were often worshipped as divine dragons, and some elven history claims the void dragons might have been the first to teach magic to mortals. Their life cycle isn't really detailed very much, how they reproduce. The lore would imply that a dragon becomes a void dragon due to experiencing the void, but it also appears that a void dragon can be born a void dragon. I'll assume that void dragons aren't very interested in mating in general. They're very solitary creatures. It could happen, especially in the pursuit of knowledge. A young wormling is quite agile and born with an immunity to cold. They are competent flyers right from birth, right out of the egg. Being immune to insanity effects, they can tolerate the company of Lovecraftian horrors, such as Cthulhu and other eldritch horrors, and they will be completely unaffected by strolling through the plane of ice due to their cold immunity. As they advance to very young age, they gain a breath attack which strips the ability to breathe from their target for a number of rounds. And as they progress onto young, they gain the Ray of Enfeeblement spell, which drains the victim's strength score. They learn to deal negative energy damage with their bite attack, and if they knock their target unconscious with said bite attack, the target must succeed a fortitude save or die outright. When they advance to juvenile, they gain their Alien Presence and Blur feats. Alien Presence makes any onlookers who fail their will saves become sickened or nauseated for a number of rounds, and Blur spell effect, when it's cast, gives them 20% concealment, so even if you would otherwise hit, their planar shifting causes a 20% chance that even a successful hit to fail entirely. As they advance to young adult, they get damage resistance 5, overcome only by magic weapons and magic spells, and they also gain a spell resistance, making that even more complicated. At adulthood, they gain access to Ray of Exhaustion and their Natural Void Gaze, which imparts confusion on anyone within 30 feet who doesn't pass their will save. Between adulthood and the age of a Great Worm, the Void Dragon's damage resistance continues to increase, and it learns the following spells: Dimension Door and Gate, which opens up into planar travel for the Void Dragon, and Nightmare and Insanity, both of which help to break the minds of their victims. The 5e Tome of Beasts goes on to describe the Ancient Void Dragon in a bit more detail. The Ancient Void Dragon in 5e gains legendary resistances, so getting to reroll saves that it fails. It gains immunities to the Charmed and Frightened conditions, and its most terrifying feature, the Collapsing Star, which reads, "When the Void Dragon is killed, it explodes in a swath of celestial destruction. Each creature and object within 1 mile of the dragon takes 55 bludgeoning damage, 55 cold damage, and 55 psychic damage. Each damage type can be reduced by half with a successful save. Additionally, a creature that fails 2 or 3 of the following saves is affected by a plane shift spell and sent to a random plane. If it is sent to the plane it is currently occupying, it appears 5d100 miles away in a random direction. And if you're on a planet, that could be straight down, and that's instant death. The Tome of Beasts makes note that a Void Dragon can be much more deadly than its CR would imply, thanks to the Collapsing Star ability. Even if the players do manage to defeat the dragon, the Cosmic Blast could kill the entire party outright if they aren't aware ahead of time. The GM should probably hint at this, or the players should seek to prepare themselves for the fight and come across information about the Collapsing Star effect so they can prepare in advance. The Ancient Void Dragon has Aura of Madness, which can frighten anyone of the dragon's choice within 120 feet. Has the breath weapons, Gravitic Breath, which means the dragon can exhale areas of localized, really powerful gravity, as well as making falling damage in that area much more potent. Gains Stellar Flare Breath. The dragon exhales Starfire in a cone. Each creature in that area will take 45 fire damage and 45 radiant damage on a failed save, and only half on a successful one. The Ancient Void Dragon has the ability to teleport to any open space within 100 feet at will. It gains the Void Twist ability, which means if the dragon is hit by a ranged attack, it can create a small rift in space to increase its armor class so that the attack might miss. And if the attack does miss as a result, the dragon can redirect the ranged attack to another creature within 30 feet of the original attack. And the Ancient Void Dragon also gets access to legendary actions, of which it has 3 per round. It has access to Void Slip. The dragons twist the fabric of space. Each creature within 15 feet of the dragon must succeed on a save or take bludgeoning damage. And the dragon then gets to teleport for free to an unoccupied space within 40 feet. And its signature ability, Void Cache. The dragon can magically reach into its treasure hoard and retrieve any one item. If the dragon is holding an item, it may use the ability to deposit its item into its hoard, which goes hand in hand with the link that it forges back to its true home. That's about all I've got on Void Dragons today. Thank you for listening. This video was requested by the Black Goat over on Discord. Feel free to make requests in the YouTube comments section or over on Discord if there's anything you'd like me to talk about or